Jesus calls us to live a righteous life. This passage says, if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he who is faithful and just will forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say that we have not sinned, we make him a liar, and his word is not in us. Now, when we hear words like sin and unrighteousness, we start to get worried. He's not talking about me, is he? I'm not sinful. I live a generally good life. But actually, that's not what unrighteousness is about. That's not even what sin is about. So I have a bad habit that my wife really doesn't like. At the end of the day, or if it's midway through the day when I have to change, I often leave my clothes at the side of the bed in a pile. And it turns out that that's not the right place for clothes. The right place for clothes is in the basket in the corner. Been married 13 years. I'm getting better at this. I'm learning this. And it turns out that being a vicar also means you have to change a lot in the day. Sometimes you're in a clerical collar, sometimes it's not appropriate, sometimes you're shifting around. But it turns out that if I leave my clothes by the side of my bed, that's not good. They need to go about 8 foot that way into the basket in the corner. That's the right place for them. Now, sometimes I think I do really well, because sometimes I don't leave the clothes by the side of my bed, but I leave them at the base of the basket. And somehow, that doesn't count as being right, even though it's closer to the basket. Actually, for some reason, that annoys Cara slightly more than over there. The right place is in the basket, but just at the foot of the basket is not right, nor is 8 foot away by the side of my bed right. And the bathroom, don't live close to the bathroom, just, you need trouble there. And this is what we think sin is like and unrighteousness is like. That we know leaving your clothes miles away is a bad thing. And we try to live a life where we leave our clothes a little bit close to the basket. And maybe we even get some of the clothes in the basket. Occasionally I do. I was hoping for a bit more pride about that. A bit more. Sometimes we get stuff in the basket. Sometimes we get clothes. Sometimes we do really good stuff. Sometimes there's only 1 or 2 pieces of clothes left by the basket. But there's still not all in the basket. Unless everything's in the basket, I've not done right. Yes, perhaps I fed the poor. Perhaps I've given away all my worldly possessions. But I was really proud about doing that. And that's 1 pair of socks that didn't make it into the basket. And so I'm still unrighteous. We need to get all our dirtiness into the basket. Unless we're fully there, we're not there at all. And some of us have lived under the presumption that getting almost there is good enough. And it is better than that, but it's not enough to know the full presence of God in your life. And the really, really interesting thing is it doesn't matter how hard you try, there'll always be a few socks that you've left behind. Maybe from your past, but maybe also from the fact that we go forward in life and we constantly slip up. I'm going to stretch this metaphor really far now, in the fact that Jesus was the only person who got all these clothes into the basket. That doesn't really work, does it? But you understand where I'm going. That Jesus led a sinless life. Jesus led a perfect life. And yet, he still gave himself up to die. He still gave himself up. And in doing so, he breaks the power of us not getting all the way there. He breaks the power of all those little things that we've not got there. Because we know that we have a new life in him. So Jesus invites you to live a righteous life, not because you are right or you'd ever be completely right, but because, and the Bible describes it in this passage, as that we can abide in him. We can live in his righteousness. We can live in the fact that Jesus got all the clothes into the basket. And we can